So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Here back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, August 31st. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Tuesday, August 31st here today, coming off another late night baseball with the New York Yankees, as they do in fact lose again. And it's a tough loss. It's another tough loss. It's 3 straight in a row now. So, kind of what I said yesterday about, losing 2 straight. I said it's not the end of the world. It's 2 straight losses. Last night was a tough one, though. Kluber cruising, hits a little bit of a road bump. Heaney comes in, blows it as usual. And, now it's kind of like, okay, 3 in a row. Let's try to get a win and get back on track. And that's kind of where it is. So, it stinks. It does stink to, lose. As I always say, the goal is to win. You want to win. You don't want to lose. I I don't know why anyone would want to lose. If you want to lose, number one, you shouldn't be watching or playing. And if you're okay with losing, then that's not good either. But what I'm gonna sit here and tell you is it's 3 straight games. So it's like it's not the end of the world considering we just won 13 in a row. Now the Rays are still winning, so that always stinks. Like the Rays are winning, but Yankees were now losing. So, like I said, so much of this stuff with the wild card and the division's all out of our control. And by the way, we still have the wild card pretty locked up. We are still a full 2 games up on the wild card. So, nobody should be concerned about the wild card. Nobody should be worried about the wild card. We are very much in position for the wild card. Okay, so no one at all should be concerned with the wild card, where we are in the wild card. The wild card is ours right now. We are +2 up. If the season would end today, we would have a home game, and it would be a wild card game. So, a lot of fans now are panicking and saying, oh, the wild card. No, we are still very much in reach of the wild card. So, we're still very much in reach. But those things. And then Heaney, continues to struggle. And that's been that way for Andrew Heaney for a long time. It's been that way. We got him at the trade deadline. He wasn't good. And he continues to struggle. So, Yankees lose yesterday 3-0. They lose 3 in a row. They lose yesterday 8-7. It was a close game. Hey, we did what we needed to do. We scored runs. You can't complain that, we weren't hitting because we scored runs. So, it's just one of those things that, the pitching and the bullpen just hurt us there. And that's kind of what it is. And it was a 1-run game. And the Yankees have actually been very good this season in 1-run games. So you can't win everything. A lot of Yankee fans are starting to panic. I would not panic, okay? Typical, this is what happens a lot of times with Yankees fans. People start to panic and say all these different things. I would not panic. It's 3 straight losses. I understand that. We just need to get back on track, get another win, and just, secure one of these victories. And tonight we got J-Mo going out on the mound, and you got to hope that you get another win. And that's kind of what Boone said in his post-game press conference is, it's kind of one of what he said in his post-game press conference was just on to the next one. And that was their mindset during the win streak, and that's got to be their mindset here again. So we'll see how everything plays out. But Yankees take a tough loss. They will play again today. The beauty of baseball, you got to tackle it again the next day. So today we'll play against the Angels, another late game. This will be the second game of the 3-game set as we go to tie the series tonight. And then tomorrow you got to hope that we go for the series win. And then on Thursday we have a day off. And then Friday we open up against the Orioles. That's another thing. And before people start panicking and saying all these things, look at the upcoming schedule. It's very weak. The Rangers, the Orioles, very, very weak upcoming schedule. So just look at the facts, people. Look at the facts. So that's what's on tap for today. Yankees-Angels game 2 of the 3-game set tonight. And the Mets have a split-a-mission doubleheader today. So they will resume a game that was in the top of the first. It got rain. So I remember that game. Stroman was actually pitching. They were 9 pitches into the game, and then they ended up stopping it. So they were like 9 pitches into the game, and then they ended up stopping it. So today they'll start with 9 pitch. They'll start 9 pitches in, and it will technically kind of start as like a relief appearance for Taiwan Walker. So that will be a 9-inning game since it started. And the second game, I believe, is going to be a 7-inning game. So doubleheader for the Mets against the Marlins. Yet another weird scheduling thing with the Mets because that's how it's been all year. And the Yankees play today as well. So a lot to get to. Today, cuts and releases and all that stuff starts happening in NFL. 4 Eastern is the deadline. You got to make all your cuts. Your roster has got to be 53 men by 4 Eastern today. So we'll see how all these teams do it. We'll see who they cut. But we've already got one big surprising cut that I'll get to. With that being said, let's get to the topics for today's podcast. So just about 5 minutes ago, not even, we got word that Cam Newton has been cut by the Patriots. Yes, you have heard that right. Cam Newton reportedly released by the Patriots. So Mac Jones is now going to be the starting quarterback. He is quarterback number 1 there in New England. And Cam Newton has been released, and he will be on his way to find another home. I don't know where that is. I will give you some options. I will give you some teams that could be looking for him. But Cam Newton has been released by the New England Patriots. I'll get to that, what this means. I mean, this is by far some of the biggest news we've gotten recently. And where do the Patriots and Cam Newton, where does Cam Newton go from here? We'll get to all that. Cam Newton gets released. We'll get to that. Then I want to talk about the New York Mets and some more of their goofy situation that's going on there with the New York Mets. Now, I was going to talk about Heaney today and his struggles. But when Cam Newton got released, I'm like, I can't let this just go without talking about. So I got to get to the Mets. I want to get to their situation. They got so much stuff going around in their clubhouse and their front office. And they did these things called these thumbs down things with the players. And they started doing with their hits and stuff. And, it was kind of booing back the fans because the fans would boo the Mets. And now the players, now there's not much leadership. And now, the GM and the owners all getting involved. And Sandy Alderson said that it's unacceptable what they're doing. And, all through all of this, Francisco Lindor has been quiet. I want to get to him, talk about just how bad he's been for the New York Mets. He hasn't been hitting. He hasn't been doing anything for them. And just overall as a team, the New York Mets just stink anyway. They're not good. They're awful. They're not a good team. They're just not a good team. Face the facts. They are not a good baseball team. We'll get to that, get to their situation over there, and all that. Then we'll finish it off with the New York Sports Update. As always, 10 days until, actually technically 9 today, until we see live football. Because then tomorrow is 8, Thursday will be a week, and then you got football. Then you got, the weekend. So, almost a week until the first NFL game of the season. So that's super excited. I'm ready for that. Bucks, Cowboys. That's a great way to start the season. Great way. And I'm sure the NFL purposely did that. But they could have said, let's do Bucks, Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch. They could have said, let's do, Bucks versus Patriots. They could have done that to open up the season. Little Belichick-Brady action. Now with Mac Jones starting the new phase. They could have did all that. I think the best matches they could have done was Bucks Patriots. I think that would have Cowboys rather. That would have been awesome. It's awesome. It's gonna be awesome. You got Brady and the Bucks and all their big names over there. Then you got the Cowboys. Dak returns. Jerry Jones, America's team. They're on Hard Knocks. We all know how the Cowboys are. They're opening it up. That's your ideal matchup right there. That's the biggest of the biggest on the prime stage to start the NFL season. Just how it is. So that's a week from Thursday, and baseball, like I said, throughout the week, and no preseason, as we all know. Preseason's done for the weekend. Today, big day. Tomorrow, I'll probably have even more news to talk about. I'm sure there's going to be some other cuts that might be they'll be a little surprising, but a lot to get to on this podcast. So, with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So, Cam Newton reportedly released by Patriots Mac Jones to start at quarterback. Yes, you have heard that right. Mac Jones is going to be the starting quarterback week 1 for the New England Patriots, and Cam Newton has been released by the New England Patriots. So Cam Newton's not going to be the backup. He's not going to start. He's going to get released, and he has gone already. He's gotten released. So this is just major news when it comes to the Patriots, given that last season Cam Newton was under center for them and he was the starter last year, and things did not go very well for them last season. They struggled. They finished like 7-9. Cam Newton did not have a good year. First time Belichick missed the playoffs in like decades. First time Belichick missed the playoff pretty much since the day he was born. So last season was not a good year for the New England Patriots. And then you go into this offseason and you give Newton another extension, a big extension, a large extension, a 1-year deal with a lot of money involved, and he's not even going to play one regular season game for you this season. And I'm not really surprised at the fact that the New England Patriots are deciding to, put Mac Jones out there. I'm not surprised about that. I'm more surprised about the fact that they've decided to cut Cam Newton, completely get rid of him. I mean, completely say, hey, you didn't win the starting job, you're gone. We're releasing you, you're done. See you later. Take your bags and leave. That's pretty much what they've just done with Cam Newton. And that hasn't completely sunk in for me yet, because for a guy that last season started for the New England Patriots, he wasn't on the roster. He wasn't just a backup. He was the starting quarterback. He was the guy that came in and was supposed to replace Brady, and Cam Newton and Bill Belichick and the weird combo, and can they make the playoffs, and are they going to have success? And now Brady's in the Tampa Bay and Newton's in, New England, two different dynamics. And it didn't work out last season. And then they bring Cam Newton back in after a 7-9 year and a not a great year for Cam Newton on an individual level, let alone a team level. And now just straight out of the blue, you say, hey, you're gone. And they've just done that by releasing Cam Newton. And I think we all knew that there was a good chance that Cam Newton's rest of his NFL career wasn't going to be the Patriots. I think we all knew that. I think most of us can agree. Cam Newton was not the future there in New England. But is it outrageous to say that he could have started, and maybe by week 5, if they were 2-3, 1-4, they put Mac Jones in, and you go from there? Yeah, I think we all could have saw that. To be honest, I really didn't think that Cam Newton had that bad of a preseason at all. He actually had a pretty good preseason. He had a couple really nice games, and he had a really good game against the Eagles. And, you also got to realize, the defenses they're going up against, who fits better in the Patriots scheme, along with overall, what does Bill Belichick want? And what does Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels want? And obviously, they've chosen to go with the young guy. They've chosen to go with Mac Jones as the guy that they are going to have to trust and believe in to go out there and win them football games. And that's, at the end of the day, what they did. And, I think we all kind of realized that, like I said, Cam Newton was not going to be the answer. I personally, if you asked me a week ago, who would have started week 1? Out of all the quarterback competitions that are going on or have already been decided, Washington, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I knew it was going to be him. We all predicted it. Broncos, I did think Drew Lock was going to win that job. It was Teddy Bridgewater. If there was any competition there in Jacksonville, we all knew it was going to be Lawrence. The Niners, I'm still up in the air on. I don't really even know who the Niners are going to take. Personally, I think, it's kind of weird. They've said they already made their decision. I could see it's almost like the draft. 50% of them want it's one guy, 50% want of another guy. I feel like that's probably how it is in San Francisco. Probably 50% of the front office wants Jimmy G and 50% of them want Trey Lance. So that's kind of, I could see them going either way. In a way, I could see Shanahan maybe going the younger route, but I could also see maybe them saying, hey, Jimmy G got us to the Super Bowl got us to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. It's not that far off. And you look at the Bears, I think we all know they're going to go with They're going to go with Dalton. There's no surprise there. I expected them to go with Dalton. I think they should go with Fields, but I expected them to go with Dalton. Put Fields in through the middle of the season. And those are really some of your quarterback competitions. And then New England was another big one. And New England was kind of up in the air because they went out, drafted Mac Jones. Bill Belichick is, how Bill Belichick is with the media. He doesn't tell you too much. It's like people say, Mac Jones looks really good. And then people say, Cam Newton looks really good. And then it was so 50-50. If I had to tell you, I probably would have been more surprised to see Mac Jones start week 1 than Cam Newton. And the reason I say that is because I just can't picture Cam Newton being the backup behind a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. And I think that is the reason why they have released Cam Newton. Because it's just simple as this. He's not going to sit there and be the backup. He's not. He could say what he wants. The Patriots could say, oh, he'll be the backup. No. It's as simple as this. Cam Newton would rather get cut and go to another team than be the backup to a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. It's as simple as that. So, all these people out there, I've already seen it all over, the medias and the interwebs, all that, and the interwebs all out there. So I've already seen so many people say, oh, well, you think Cam Newton got released because he wasn't? No. He got released because he didn't win the starting job. It's as simple as that. At the end of the day, it's not, oh, he wasn't good enough. It's not, oh, off the field issues. It's not, oh, the Patriots didn't like him. It's, oh, guess what? He didn't win the starting job. So that's why they've released Cam Newton. And I don't blame them. Because if he's not going to start, you're going to pay a guy a ton of money to sit a bench. And I think this is something that both sides kind of agreed on. Because I think deep down inside, Cam Newton still wants to play. I think he still believes he can start and give you good production. And I also think that deep down inside, New England doesn't really believe that much in Cam and believes that Mac Jones is the better option. And this is a big, this is big for Belichick. Because this is the first time in a long time, really ever since Belichick started coaching, that they've had a little bit of a quarterback issue. Who do you go with? Newton or Jones? Well, they've decided to go with Jones, but is that going to be the right answer after all? And like I said, coming out of college, I thought Mac Jones was going to be the third pick in the draft. I thought he was going to be the third pick in the draft. I thought he was going to be the guy. Niners ended up taking Trey Lance. It completely changed the trajectory of the entire draft. But I thought Mac Jones was going to be the third pick. And I like Mac Jones a lot. I think he's a good quarterback. I think there's some flaws there with, maybe his mobility a little bit. But I think he's got a good arm. I think he's accurate. He's coming from Nick Saban. He's coming from Alabama. There's been a lot of success there, too. Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma, but Jalen Hurts was there in Alabama. You now have Mac Jones. You've had so many other guys come out of Alabama. Quinnen Williams, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith. A lot of really good guys come out of Alabama. Mac Jones coming out of Alabama. I think you've always got to give an advantage to a guy a little bit if they come out of Alabama. I've always said that. There's certain colleges where you look at and say, okay, where did he come from? Alabama. Okay, that automatically makes them that much more ready for the NFL than maybe a guy that went to a smaller name school, or a guy who not went to a smaller name school, but went to a guy maybe to a school that has never had great history. Right? Look at, for example, Ohio State. When's the last time they've had a good quarterback come out of there? They've had JT Barrett. They've had all these different guys come out of there. Dwayne Haskins, now Justin Fields. So there's always that thought of you deep down inside. It's like, well, the quarterback history there hasn't been good recently. But at Alabama, everything's good there. Receivers are good. Offensive line's good. You get good defensive linemen. Patrick Surtain's out of there. Get secondary. You get good quarterbacks. Najee Harris, right? That's how Alabama is. So Alabama continues just to have talent. And now Mac Jones comes there. So that's big. When you're talking about Mac Jones' overall game, and you're talking about his overall play, and can he make it in this league? Well, he has one big advantage over a lot of players. I was going to say over 90% of the league, but I realized 90% of the league's from Alabama. So he has an advantage over a lot of players. And that's when he's gone to Alabama. He was under the Steve Sarkisian, Nick Saban type run-led offense. And now he's going to New England. He's going to be the starter. Do I think he's going to do what Brady did? No, that's asking him to be the GOAT. But Mac Jones can kind of write his own legacy here. And to be honest, I know a lot of people think that Mac Jones has a lot of pressure on him. I don't. Because what's the pressure? What's the expectation on Mac Jones? For him to go out and be the next Tom Brady? No. That's why Mac Jones is in such a weird situation. Because no matter what he does in New England, he's just going to be shadowed still by Brady. right? So everyone could say, oh, we got our guy. He's the guy that's going to replace Brady. That's unfair to say. Because Tom Brady's the GOAT. What he did in New England is something we might not ever see again. So Mac Jones, he's coming in also into a situation where I don't think he has that much pressure on him. And you call me crazy. What's the pressure? To go and live up to what Brady did? No. Everybody knows he's not going to do what Brady is. Everybody's kind of, let's see what Mac Jones can do. He can write his own little legacy. That's kind of how I see it. But he's got a lot of talent. He's got the talent. There are some flaws, I think. I don't think he's as mobile as many other quarterbacks. His pocket presence, he's more of a pocket quarterback when I think this league's turning into more of a mobile league. But over time, he could still grow and do that. I mean, coming out of college, there's a lot of guys that weren't very mobile coming out of college that turned into more mobility. I think you could say Patrick Mahomes coming out of college, not that he wasn't mobile, but I could say he's even turned more mobile throughout his career. I think just in that offensive system with the Chiefs and then being in the NFL, quicker game, more decision-making, all that stuff. That's my only really concern. But other than that, he's got a very strong arm. He could, throws into tight windows. He's very smart. He is very smart. And like I said, he's coming from Alabama. Big-time football school, produces a lot of talent. The stuff that they teach there seems to really carry over well to the NFL. So this is Mac Jones' chance. This is his chance to write his own script in New England. Not do what Brady does, not try to top what Brady does. Sure, you want to try to top what Brady does. You want to be the greatest. But Mac Jones and Patriots fans got to realize he's going to write his own script. He's going to write his own legacy there. Remove Brady out of the equation. This is Mac Jones' opportunity. And Cam Newton now will now have to go try and find another home. I was just talking to people before I went on the podcast. I said a couple different options. I said that the Texans could be an option for Cam Newton. I don't think Cam Newton's going to be available for too long. I really don't. I do think a team's going to swoop in and grab him, whether that's as a backup or as a starter. I think the Texans should be licking their chops right now. Not saying that Cam Newton's the greatest quarterback of all time, but very rare do you get a quarterback less than 2 weeks away from the NFL season like Cam Newton to just be out there. It's the truth. I mean, this was a guy who was rumored to start on the New England Patriots. Now that he got released, he could start. Like, very rarely do you get this starter-ready quarterback to get released by a team at this point. Like I said, I'm not saying Cam Newton's going to go out and win MVP, but I would take Cam Newton over the Texans options. But let's look at the Texans quarterback depth chart right now. Let's look. Texans QB depth chart 2021. Let's see. So, let's see. Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills, and Deshaun Watson. That's there. So they got Tyrod Taylor rolling out there. Would you rather Tyrod Taylor or Cam Newton? I think some people would say Tyrod Taylor. I guess they're kind of similar in their career where they're not what they were. I think Tyrod Taylor, he had moments there in Buffalo. He's not what he once was. Cam Newton, obviously we all know, is one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Carolina. He's not what he once was. Both have battled injuries. Both are getting older. Similar play styles too. Tyrod can run. Cam can run. Tyrod's on an incredibly strong arm and incredibly accurate. Cam's on incredibly strong arm, incredibly accurate. But they're similar players. Texans could look for him. I kind of said the Colts is a desperate thing. If let's say if Carson Wentz, number one, can't stay healthy, or number two, has an issue with his foot, or number three is just not ready yet, although it seems like he is, that could be an option to go out and sign him. But the only issue is if you sign him, once Carson Wentz comes back, he's going to be a backup. And that's, I don't know if you want to pay a backup that much. I don't know if you want Cam as your backup. So you can look at that as an option. I said this too. If Washington, who I believe is going to have a very good year this year, I think they have a very good chance of winning the AFC East, and I think Fitzpatrick and Heineke will do the job, do a well enough job. Not the future, but I think they'll do a good enough job. They'll do good enough. The defense, receiving core, and all that stuff, that's going to help big time, but the quarterbacks will do just enough, I believe. Let's say that goes haywire, and by week 4 they're 1-3, or week 5 they're 1-4. That could be an option as a safety blanket. So there's so many teams out there you could say. You could say teams like, I'm just throwing this out. You could say a team, I'm not going to name a team, but a team out there that maybe has a young quarterback and maybe not really a veteran in the locker room, or maybe a team that doesn't have a veteran on the quarterback room, like the Jets. Not saying the Jets are going to go out and get him. I don't think they will, but I'm just using that as an example. Any team. I'm not going to really think of them. Any team out there that's in need of a backup, or even any team out there that might be 50-50 on their starter, which by this point in the season, not many. I don't know what Detroit wants to do with Jared Goff. I don't know if they believe he's the answer, or I don't know if they believe this is kind of a one-year thing. Let's see what he does. If he does well, he goes, and if he doesn't, we'll reevaluate that in the offseason. So there's so many questions. Panthers, I think this is a big year. If Darnold doesn't have a good year, I think they'll decide that in the offseason. I don't think these are things that teams are just going to go out and pick up. I think the most likely destination is probably the Texans, because they are probably one of the most in need of quarterback teams in the league, personally. So we'll see how everything plays out, though, because is a team really going to want to pick up Cam Newton to be a backup if he just got cut because he was going to be the backup, right? It's interesting. All right, so Cam Newton reportedly released by Patriots, Mac Jones to start at quarterback. I said that to start the year. I said them re-signing Cam Newton was such a dumb decision. I don't know why they did it. I don't know who decided to do it. It was such a dumb decision. He did not have a good year last year. He's not the same quarterback he once was. And you could have just went out and drafted a guy, and guess what? They did that. And look, it was a waste of money to go out and re-sign Cam Newton. Just an absolute waste of money. Something that Bill Belichick and that front office did not do a good job with. And you can't say, oh, well, if they didn't know they were going to get their hands on Mac Jones. Just don't re-sign Cam Newton and then be more aggressive in the draft for a quarterback. Because they got Mac Jones at number 15, they didn't have to move. If they didn't re-sign Cam Newton, they might have to move a little bit and be more aggressive. But that's okay. Because then they're just more aggressive, you still get a quarterback. Said it wasn't a smart decision. And look, Cam Newton's cut. All right, so let's get into this. So Cam Newton reportedly released by Patriots, Mac Jones to start at quarterback. In a surprising development, the New England Patriots will roll with Mac Jones as their starting quarterback to open the 2021 regular season after reportedly releasing Cam Newton. Jim McBride of the Boston Globe reported Newton was released on Tuesday ahead of the 4 p.m. Eastern deadline for teams to cut their rosters down to 53 players. There was plenty of mystery throughout training camp and the preseason about who New England's starting quarterback would be. In the first week of training camp, Belichick told reporters that Newton was in position to start, but he would continue to evaluate things. We'll take a look at the whole situation, he said. I don't think you want to evaluate players at any position off one or two plays or maybe a day. So from consistency standpoint, that's always important. And obviously production. So hopefully those things will be good, and I'm sure it will be a hard decision. Despite Belichick's comments, Newton told reporters on August 16th that the Patriots coach hadn't told either quarterback anything. No, he hasn't said that. He hasn't said that. So for you to just ask that question, it is what it is. He said, every single day I'm coming out here with the anticipation to get better, and that's the only thing that I can do. So I can control that. Both Newton and Jones played well in New England's second preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Newton, who started the game, finished 8 of 9 for 103 yards and 1 touchdown. Jones went 13 of 19 for 146 yards in relief. There did appear to be an opening for Jones to win the job on August 23rd when the Patriots announced that Newton had to stay away from the club for 4 days due to a misunderstanding about COVID-19 tests conducted away from the team facility. Belichick told reporters on August 26th that Newton didn't violate any team rules related to the testing misunderstanding. I know a lot of people out there, this is just how the media is, thinks that had anything to do with it. That had nothing to do with it. That's just me. Maybe it did. Maybe because he had that, they were frustrated. I know there was a report about that, but I don't think the fact that there was a COVID misunderstanding that he got released because of that. No. I think he got released because they decided to start Mac Jones. And the reality of it was, Cam Newton's not going to sit the bench and be a backup. He's not. That's just not how he is. So Newton started each of New England's 3 preseason contests, though he only played 2 drives against the New York Giants on Sunday. He finished 2 of 5 for 10 yards and 1 interception. Jones, on the other hand, went 10 of 14 for 156 yards and a touchdown, and the Patriots 22-20 win. Like I said, this is another thing, too, I found this pretty cool. Mac Jones throws 10-plus yards downfield in the preseason, 96.8 PFF grade. That's first. I said, he airs the ball out. Alabama, they don't throw none of these cheap, no, I shouldn't say cheap, but they don't throw any of the underneath stuff. They air the ball out. They air the ball out to guys like Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, those receivers. Jerry Jeudy, all those guys. That's what they air the ball out. He did that at Alabama. He's airing it out already here in the NFL early on in the preseason. So Newton re-signed with the Patriots on a one-year incentive-laden deal in March. The 32-year-old had a difficult first season in New England. He threw for 2,657 yards, ran for 597, accounted for 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions with a 65.8 completion percentage. New England added competition in its quarterback room by selecting Jones with the number 15th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The Alabama star was the best signal caller in college football last season, finishing third in Heisman Trophy voting. The Patriots also got aggressive in free agency with the hope of improving on last year's 7-9 record. They signed wide receivers Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, and tight ends Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith to boost the passing game. Jones led the nation with 4,500 passing yards and a 77.4 completion percentage. He finished second with 41 touchdown passes. Given how different Newton and Jones are as quarterbacks, the Patriots could have kept both and tried to use them in different packages. Instead, Belichick and offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels are prepared to turn the offense over to Jones right out of the gate against the Miami Dolphins on September 12th. And hey, that's a big opportunity early. Dolphins have a really good defense, an overall really solid team in Miami, and you get a good opportunity early to see what Mac Jones is all about, because Miami's not an easy defense. They are a very good defense. It's not like you're going up against the Falcons or the Cowboys week one. You're going up against a very solid defense in Miami. I believe one of the better defenses in the league. Don't want to go without saying, very good special teams as well. Force a lot of turnovers and mistakes on special teams. Good special teams and defense in Miami. So he'll have a tough first week to start off. That ain't going to be no cakewalk to start week one for Mac Jones. And Cam Newton's done. So Cam Newton is out. And, I don't know how much had, to put it. Like I said many times here, I haven't said exactly, but both players' games, if you look at them, are completely different. And this article nailed it right on the head. Maybe you could have used Cam Newton in a different package, but that's not Cam Newton. To give him the money just to do that, it's not going to happen. He's going to want to start. He's going to want to go somewhere else and play. What I do think, though, is with their games being so different, that I think had a big part of it. Because let's be honest here. Not comparing Mac Jones to Cam Newton, or Mac Jones to Tom Brady. But all those years having Tom Brady, what type of quarterback was Tom Brady? He was a pocket passer that could air the ball out and throw it deep. Okay, that's what he was. What quarterback is Cam Newton? He's a guy that likes to run. He's a guy that he doesn't throw the ball deep that often. Throws a lot of short passes, not very accurate. What was Tom Brady? Pocket, throws the ball deep, was accurate, not many short passes. That was Tom Brady. Cam Newton was the opposite of that. Runs a lot, throws short, not very accurate. That's Cam Newton. Now look at Mac Jones. Doesn't run much, throws the ball deep, is accurate, throws in tight windows. That's Mac Jones. So in terms of fitting offense and what the Patriots did with Tom Brady during Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick through that long run there, Mac Jones is more of a quarterback to fit the system. He's more like a Tom Brady. I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. I'm just saying his play style is like Tom Brady. So he doesn't run. Tom Brady doesn't run. Mac Jones not very mobile. Tom Brady throws the ball deep. Mac Jones throws the ball deep. Tom Brady doesn't turn the ball over much. Mac Jones doesn't turn the ball over. Tom Brady, a lot of touchdowns, throws the ball deep, accurate. Mac Jones throws the ball deep, a lot of touchdowns, accurate. Let's look at Cam Newton. Tom Brady doesn't run. Cam Newton runs a lot. Tom Brady throws the ball deep. Cam Newton doesn't. Tom Brady's accurate. Cam Newton's not. So, in terms of what quarterbacks was in that Patriot system for 2 decades there, you're getting more of that in Mac Jones. which is why I think they go with Mac Jones as well. His game fits the system better. Because all those years, they had a non-mobile quarterback that threw the ball deep. You're getting Mac Jones, a not very mobile quarterback that throws the ball deep. Cam Newton doesn't fit that. And we saw that last season. So, we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, Mac Jones is going into, I believe, a low-pressure situation. I know there's a lot of people that would disagree. But, yeah, Tom Brady, what's the expectation to go out and, Patriots for all these years have had a great quarterback. I think you have more pressure if for the past decade you've been, with the Jets. I think Wilson probably has more pressure on him than Mac Jones. Because for the past decade, the Jets haven't gotten it right at quarterback. Now we finally seem like we've got our guy. And Wilson needs to show us that. In New England, you had Tom Brady. You had your guy for 2 decades. Now you get Mac Jones. It's all right, let's see what he's capable of. You get what I'm saying? It's just I don't think there's as much pressure on Mac Jones because the past 2 decades haven't been terrible for the New England Patriots at quarterback. It's been Tom Brady the GOAT. If you get what I'm saying. So Mac Jones is going to start, and Cam Newton has been released. And we will see if he gets picked up and if he does, where that is. Because it's going to be interesting. Now we got a story, people. Where does Cam Newton go now? Okay, so he's cut. That's the first part. Does he go remained unsigned? Does he go You're less than a week before the season. Or less than 2 weeks before the season, rather. So there's kind of a thing here where you could say, oh, well, if you pick him up, is that enough time to get him ready and get a quarterback knowing that system and meshing with the receivers? No, it's probably not. A week's probably not enough. Because let's just say he signs tomorrow with a team. He'll probably, fly off to go to the team, sign the contract, go through physicals. He probably won't start practicing until at least Thursday, Friday. Weekend, you probably get off and treatment and all that stuff. Monday's practice week. So you're going to have about 4 days to get ready with your players. That's not long. So it's kind of interesting the time they cut him because I don't know if it's going to be enough time for a team to go out, sign him, and trust that he could be ready, know the playbook, ready with the receivers by week 1. So it will be interesting to see how that all plays out. But Cam Newton has been released, and Mac Jones will be under center for week 1. I can't wait to listen to that interview. I can't wait to listen to that Bill Belichick interview. I don't even know if it's up. It's got to be in it. He's gonna have an interview. And he's going to have an interview. And the first question, and probably 95% of the questions are going to be, so what was your decision with Cam? And why did you release Cam? What about this about Cam? What about that with Cam? That Cam. What are you doing with Mac Jones? There's going to be all those questions. So that will be interesting to listen to. But either way, big news. That's what I got for Cam Newton and Mac Jones. Comment down below your thoughts. And if you agree with them, not so much starting Mac Jones over Cam Newton, but just releasing, completely saying, see ya. Because now if Mac Jones gets injured, which you don't want to see, you never like to see anyone get injured, especially a rookie who has potential, has a lot of potential. Never want to see that. Who's next? What, Brian Hoyer? So now your depth at quarterback just got a whole lot weaker as well. So we'll see. But I'm not disagreeing with the move. I'm just saying I want to see what you guys think about the move. Alrighty, coming up next here, I want to get to some more New York Mets stuff because the Mets are they're just laughable. They really are. They are just a laughable organization. They are just a laughable team. And there's some more just dumb stuff going on with the New York Mets. It's not even controversial. It's just dumb. It's this thumbs down stuff that now the front office isn't happy about. And the players and the fans and oh man, the New York Mets are a very sad baseball team. We'll get to them, get to Lindor and Baez, and much more next. Alrighty, so even when the Mets don't play, because they had a day off yesterday, even when they don't play, there's issues with the team and with the organization. Even when they win, there's issues. Because the Mets in all fairness, they took 2 out of 3 against Washington over the weekend through Friday, the Friday through Sunday series. They lost game 1 on Friday, 1 Saturday and Sunday. The day off yesterday, they have a split emission doubleheader today against the Marlins. So, obviously, it was, you get the win against the Nationals, good. They did their job. They were supposed to beat them. They did. Good for them. All that. And they were winning and all that, great. And yesterday, an off day. And even during an off day and a day where they weren't supposed to be playing and, the news was on the Yankees about coming out of the weekend and the Mets were like, okay, we got a day off from being talked about. Even when the Mets are winning and have a day off, you still can't escape the fact that there's always issues going on with the team. And now there's a new issue with the New York Mets about this symbol or this thing that the Mets are doing. They call it the thumbs down thing that the Mets are doing geared towards the fans that now has the organization upset and the players in the front office at odds. And this is exactly what you need when you're trying to make a playoff. And let's just sit here and let this thing sink in. The Mets are 7 games back in first place. They're 63-67. 3-7 in their last 10. They are on a 2-game win streak, so I got to give that to them. And their playoff percentage is 2.4% chance of making the playoffs. So they are all but eliminated from the playoffs, pretty much. And now they got this issue. So I'll explain this first because it's very confusing. And don't get me wrong, it was a little confusing for me as well, just because it's just so dumb. It's dumb, is what it is. It's not. It's dumb. It's dumb. I'll say that 5 times. It's just so out of this world. Like, why are the Mets? Why does this team just they get a new owner? Oh, we got Francisco Lindor. We went out and got Baez. We're finally doing great, and they're still stink. They still lose. They still can't win, and now they got this going on. So we all know when you get a hit in baseball, every team's got their own thing they do. Yankees, as a Yankee fan, they do this, where they take their fist and, punch it in their elbow. They do that. So whenever they get a double, a single, or a big hit, bases clearing double, they'll do it anytime. They hit a home run, they won't. But you do. Every team has their own thing. Some players have their own thing. Some teams do a collective thing. Whatever. But either way, they always do it. Whenever they get on base, they'll do like a celebration. Now, I don't know if every team does it, but every player or team has like a unique thing they do. It could be anything. It could be anything. I don't really know many other teams. All I know is what the Yankees do. I do know that the Phillies, I believe, every time they hit a home run, they point all the players. You see Harper do it. I think I think all the players do it. They point, like when they're rounding first, they always point to where the ball was hit. I think that's something that the Phillies do. I think every player does it. I think Harper's been doing that his whole career, so that might be something that he took from Washington to the Nationals and brought it on over to Philly. If you watch him when he hits home runs, he points over to wherever that home run hit. But that's not really. I don't know if the whole team does. I think they might. I don't know either. I'm not sure either way. I know Harper before the game will go into the outfield and do he'll do a bow. Every game before he goes out there. So, or when he's out there before the game starts. So every player, every team has their own thing. It adds character to the game. It's all good, all that. So we all know the Mets have been getting booed. And, they've been getting booed a lot recently with their poor play and all that stuff. They've been getting booed. And the players have had mixed responses, oh, I don't like getting booed, or, oh, you're booing us, but when we're doing great, you can cheer us on, and, oh, I'm bad, and this is that, but when I get a big hit, it's, oh, this guy's great, and all that stuff. And I get where they're coming from, because fans, that's how sports fans are. It's very in the moment. You're in the moment. If you're losing in the moment, you're not going to be happy, but if, in the moment, like right now, in the moment, the Mets fans are not happy. But if the Mets go on and win the World Series, everybody's going to be so happy they're going to be throwing parties. So that's how sports are. It's kind of, you're in the moment, and if the moment's not good, where you're losing or you just made an error or something, your instinct's going to be to boo, your instinct's not going to be to cheer, your instinct's going to be mad. So that's how it is. So Mets started to do this thing where, and they just started on Sunday, where every time they got a hit, they put the thumbs down. And it was it's so dumb, like I said. They put the thumbs down. And it was So Baez started doing it, and they asked him in the post-game interview what that was. Because, you catch up on it, TV season, all that stuff. And they asked, and he said, oh, well, it's our version of booing the fans because the fans always boo us. So when we do something good, it's kind of our version of booing the fans. Pretty much the opposite. So when the Mets do something bad, the fans do boo them. So pretty much when the players when the team does something good, they're kind of booing the fans. They're saying on the fans like, oh, look at us, we're booing you because you boo us. Like I said, very dumb. And that obviously, New York media, we all know how it is. One of the hardest media markets to play in, toughest media markets to play in. I mean, Javi Baez did come from Chicago. Chicago's a pretty big media market there as well. But LA, New York, they're all pretty big. You get to some of these other media markets, they're not. Boston's a pretty big media market in terms of just pressure and if you say something, it gets around. Well, New York, I've always said this about New York media. I've always said this. It's one or two. It's one thing or the other. There's no in between. It's either you're doing really good and you're on top of the world and it feels like you're the talk of the town and you're on top of the world, or you don't do good and it's like you don't want to show your face in public. That's how New York media is. Always said that. I always will say that. So this is kind of like, now it's like, dude, the Mets even want to show themselves because they're the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. So he did this thing, and we all know how media is. It blew up. Sandy Alderson caught on to it, and he said, he doesn't like what they're doing. He doesn't want them to disrespect the fans. You got the owner, Steve Cohen, saying, it's just passion for the game. It's like, so what? So what are the Mets doing? So I'm so confused. What are the New York Mets doing? Are they not going to do the celebration, or are they going to do the celebration? Do they not like the celebration, or do they like the celebration? You've got so many people all around the organization saying so many different things. And this is where issues become a problem. And this is where arguments start. Like, what are the Mets doing? You have this thumbs down thing, and now Steve Cohen is like, it's passion, and it's just how it is. And you have Sandy Alderson saying, it's disrespectful, and we will talk to them. So I don't know what's going on here. But, there's a big issue. Because you have to admit that Lindor had to be involved in this. And Lindor hasn't said anything. Lindor hasn't done anything. But this just goes to show you, Lindor's not a leader. Lindor's not a leader. He's not a guy. He said so much how he's always so ready to play for the fans and all this. Lindor's not a leader either. Like Lindor and Baez, they're not leaders. I like Baez. I do. I think he's a good player when he's out there, but he has not done anything for the Mets yet. That's all cool. But Lindor's not a leader. Baez isn't a leader. They're not guys that are going to sit there in the locker room, and they're not going to be the guy that's going to stand up and hoist the players-only meeting. They're not going to be the guy that's going to get named captain. And this is showing more and more, because I think this is stupid what they're doing. You're disrespecting the fans is really what you're doing. You say, we play for the fans and we love the fans. But at the same time, you're like, let's boo the fans and let's tell the fans to kind of like, we got a good hit. Hey, you shouldn't be cheering. Like, that's New York sports. That's what you got to expect when you're coming into a big-time market. And Baez should know that. Because it's not like he's coming from no small market team like the Miami Marlins or a small market team like the Seattle Mariners or what's another small market? Or a small market. It's not like he's coming... And, Lindor has not been good at all this year. He's not a leader, nor has he been good this season at the plate. It's a guy that the Mets are paying $300 million to go out and bat .220. It's a guy who in his career has been a very good hitter, has been a very good overall player. Now, his defense this year, if you want to, you do have to give him that. That's a fair point. His defense has been good. That's just how he is, though. But you can say that a lot of players. That's kind of like Gleyber Torres. He's the opposite. His hitting's usually the strength. Now this year his hitting hasn't been good, and nor is his defense. Same thing here with Lindor. It's a little bit of the opposite, but it's like the same thing. His defense is good, but his hitting stinks. Like Lindor he's not a leader. He's not a guy that's going to sit there in the locker room and be the guy that, stands up and is the leader, and he's not that. And the Mets paid this guy $300 million to go out, and he stinks. He's terrible. He is awful this season. And you go out and sign Javier Baez, a guy who strikes out a ton, and frankly, he's going to hit around the 220 batting average, even if he's having a good year. Because he's not a guy that hits for average. He's not a guy that's going to hit home. He's a guy that's going to hit a lot of home runs, not for average. The Mets have put themselves in such a bad situation going all out for Francisco Lindor. And now going out and signing Baez, who might re-sign here anyway. The Mets are in such a sticky situation. Because if you're Steve Cohen now, you can't say, oh, let's just get Lindor out of here. No, you gave him a 10-year deal, and that's $300 million. That's really going to kick. It's actually really going to start to kick in next season with all the guaranteed money and incentives. So the Mets right now are in such a bad situation. Not even just with this whole the thumbs down thing and with, the GM and Sandy Alderson and Steve Cohen and everyone on disagreements and the players and the fans, and not just with that, but the players that they have invested in and the players that they have already went out and spent money and invested in. And, what do you do at the end of this season with, Javier Baez? And if he's going to want a lot of money, because he probably will. And does Steve Cohen go out and give him the money? Do you go all out and say, oh, Baez and Lindor have got to be the face of our franchise? Lindor has been awful this season. And Lindor, at least he could do is go out and say something like, disagree or say, hey, we can't do that to the fans. At least he could do. Lindor right now, he's not good either. He's not been good either this season. And if he's going to want to say something, which I don't really think he needs to, because, it's already hit the boiling point with this. But if he were to say something, what does it mean from a guy that's batting 220? What does that mean? So, Mets are in such a bad situation. You have a doubleheader today. You're lucky the schedule gets a little easier. You have the Marlins today and throughout the week here. And then you have the Nationals and then back to the Marlins. But then it gets tough again. And then your schedule continues to get tough again, and that's towards the latter part of the season. That's, you got a couple more against the Yankees and the Cardinals and the Phillies and the Red Sox and the Brewers, the Marlins, and then finish out the year against the Braves, who are a very good team, and they've been hot. The Mets have got themselves in a bad situation. They've been in a bad situation, and even when they're not playing, the Mets are always the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. And they're not showing anything. They're not showing any reason of hope to give this fan base hope that they could turn this thing around. They're still 7 games back. They are on a 2-game win streak, but let's be fair here. It was against the Nationals, a team who completely blew it up at the deadline. And you're still 3-7 in your last 10. And you're still 4 games below 500. You play the Marlins today, split admission doubleheader. The one game is going to be 9 innings because it started and it was going to be 9 innings. Second game, I believe, will be 7. Mets are all too well familiar with 7-inning doubleheaders. They're familiar with doubleheaders in general. So they'll play one of those today, except the first game will be 9. Second will be 7. So they're all familiar with those. We'll see how that goes. But it's going to be interesting to see how the fans react today, what the media is like today, what questions get asked today. Luis Rojas, I've said this already. I've said this from the start of the year. And a lot of people I know thought I was kind of crazy for saying it, given that the Mets finally have or what they thought was talent on the roster. Lindor's done nothing. You got a lot of boomer bust hitters in the lineup. You've had a lot of injuries. Michael Conforto, who by the way is in a contract year, which means that you need to be the best, that you need to play your best. This is the worst season of his career. So you've had that going for you and all that. Luis Rojas, I said at the beginning of the year, was already on the hot seat because it's a new owner. We don't know what they're going to do with the GM. They obviously hired the Porter, Jared Porter, with the all of his background and all of the issues he had. They ended up firing him. Now what? It's the Zach Scott guy or whatever. And then, Sandy Alderson's been helping out and all that stuff. I think after this season, you got to get rid of the GM. You got to restart at the GM position, bring in somebody new. Steve Cohen, I think, will probably bring in his own coach, which will probably be a correlation of the GM. Because Cohen did not hire Rojas. The Wilpons did. Cohen didn't. So automatically, Cohen's going to want to work with his own guy. Unless the Mets make this magical run and go, I don't know, out of the 27 games they have in September, they win 23 of them or 22 of them. Or they make this magical run and go out of 17-10 or even 20-7 in the month of September. And they, they find a way to squeak into the playoffs. Probably would have to be through the division. And they make some magical run. Let's say they do that. Rojas maybe saves his job. Maybe. I say maybe. There's also a chance, even if they make the playoffs, he's gone. Because Cohen's going to want his own guy. But the Mets need to start off with, this all starts with the front office. They need to bring in a well-experienced GM. Theo Epstein would be just a fabulous hire if they can get their hands on Theo Epstein. This is arguably one of the best GMs in sports. The guy is a genius. Every team he's gone to, they win. He knows how to manage money. He knows how to all the luxury tax and all that. He goes out and gets really solid players. The players want to come to his teams because of what he builds. Theo Epstein, every Met fan's been talking about as an option. If they get him, that would be... if they get him, you automatically got to consider the Mets as a very high-tier team. Because what he's done, all the teams he's gone to, they've won. Literally, he was with the Cubs. He goes to a team, they've won the World Series. Like, they would go from not being that good. He goes there, give him 2 years, they've won the World Series. He's a genius. So the Mets could look for him. But this is just an ugly situation. It's an embarrassing situation. It's so dumb. And you got the front office disagreeing. You got all these players all out here doing this. You got the coach acting like he doesn't know what's going on because Luis Rojas is lost anyway. So, we'll see how it goes. But the Mets, the schedule does not look good after these stretch of games. It doesn't. You got the coach who's saying, we learned a lot these past 13 games against the Dodgers and the Giants. He said, we learned a lot of good things. What good things did you learn from going 2-11 in the past 13 games against the Dodgers and Giants? What good things did you take from that? It's a terrible stretch. That's as bad as it can get. Yankees were going on a 13-win win streak while you lost two out of your next 11. You won 2 out of your next 13. So, and there's another issue with Rojas. He doesn't sit there and he takes an optimistic approach to everything, which I get's okay as a manager. Because as a manager, you could sit there and say, we stink, this is terrible, and just bury the team and act like there's no hope. Or you could sit there and say, hey, we believe the guys are in the room, and the classic response. But, after going 2-11 on a 13-game stretch, we all knew it was going to be difficult, but at least you could have went 5-8, not 2-11. 2-11, I think a lot of Met fans thought that was going to be the worst possibility. At least you could have went 5-8, 4-9. Instead, you go 2-11. And now you got this issue. So you get over the gauntlet of 13 games. Now you get easy games. But now you got this issue with the players. So no matter what the Mets do, there's always an issue. And they continue to fall and lose, and it's great to see. All right, so let's get to the New York Sports Update here to finish up the podcast. As for yesterday in the MLB, the Astros got the win over the Mariners. The Padres won, Dodgers, Brewers won, Rangers won, Phillies won, Rays won, Blue Jays won, Cardinals won, and the Twins won. Yankees played yesterday against the Angels. The Yankees lost 8-7. So the Yankees will now move to 76 and 55 on the season. And we dropped 3 in a row, so hopefully we can get it back on the track today. We're still up in the wild card. We're still +2 in the wild card. Boston is still in second, and the A's are still 2 games back. And it's pretty crazy because remember when we were talking about a week ago, this just goes to show you how crazy the playoffs are. The Mariners just got off of sweeping, I believe, the A's. And they went from being like 6.5 back to like 2.5 back. Well, they're now all the way back to 4.5 back. And the Blue Jays are also 4.5 back. So I'll tell you what, the final wildcard spot's still very open. It still is. It's the Yankees at +2. Then Red Sox, A's, Blue Jays, Mariners all have legitimate shots. And then after that, it's over. Indians, Angels, all of them are done. Especially with the Angels announcing yesterday they'll probably shut down Mike Trout for the year. That goes to show you that they're not going to make any possible changes to the... That means they're going to pretty much shut it down and call it, look forward to next year. Alrighty, so let's get to this. Reds, Cardinals, I'll give Reds the win. Nationals, Phillies, give Nationals the win. Blue Jays, Orioles, Blue Jays the win. A's, Tigers, I'll give A's the win. Mets and Marlins play 2 games. We'll get to them in a second. Rays, Red Sox, I will give Rays the win. Rockies, Rangers, Rockies the win. Twins, Cubs, give Twins the win. Royals, Indians, give Royals the win. White Sox, Pirates, give White Sox the win. Padres, Diamondbacks, give Padres the win. Giants, Brewers, give Giants the win. Cheaters, Mariners, give Cheaters the win. And Dodgers, Braves, give Dodgers the win. So Mets play 2 today. First game's against the Marlins at 1:10 Eastern again on SNY. So this game was a resume. So Marcus Stroman started this game. I'm not sure. I think they said Walker's going to come in relief. And then game 2 will be at 7:10 Eastern on that. We'll be now working. You can also find it on SNY. Mets will have Trevor Williams. He's 4-2 with a 4.55 ERA. The over/under for 6. So I guess I will give. Why not give the Marlins the win game 1? Game 2, I don't know because I don't know who's starting for the Marlins. I don't know who's starting for the Marlins. The Mets starter is out for game 2, though. I believe Walker is going to start game 1 for the Mets. I believe. And because Stroman started this game. This game happened this was the bad weather game where the Mets said that they're going to play. They went out there in the pouring rain. The field was soaked. They threw 9 pitches and they called it a day. And there was no breakup in the weather either. So this is the game they're rescheduling. So the Mets kind of did this to themselves because they should have just postponed this game anyway. This doubleheader technically shouldn't be happening, but they kind of did it to themselves, trying to fit the game in the middle of a storm. They tried to fit a game in. That was not good. Typical Mets. All right, let's get to the Yankees. Yankees come into today's game 76 and 55. The Angels come into today's game 65 and 67. This comes on today 9:38 p.m. Eastern. Bally Sports West. You can also find it on Yes Network. Yankees got Jameson Taillon on the mound. He's 8-4 with a 4.18 ERA. And the Angels got Baraya on the mound. He's 2-2 with a 5.56 ERA. The over/under for this game is set at 9.5 rather. And and 79% of people think the Yankees will win. Give me the Yankees. I'll give them a win. Why not? We do need to break out of it. Kluber was cruising last night, and then he started to hit a little bit of a rough patch. Alrighty, as for today in fantasy baseball, I'm currently losing 46-24. But today I've got going Will Smith, Jake Cronenworth, Gene Segura, Alex Bregman, Marcus Semien, Carlos Correa, Austin Riley, Christian Yelich, Austin Meadows, Dylan Carlson, Avisail Garcia, AJ Pollock, and Luke Voigt. I got to probably put Whit Merrifield in. I'll try to find a spot for him in the lineup. We'll see how that goes. I've got no one starting pitching. I still have an empty roster spot. I don't know who I'm going to pick up yet. I've been looking for pitchers. There's no one really good. I was going to pick up Tariq Skubal, but he plays the A's, and they're a good offense. I was going to pick him up, but I just don't know how I feel about him against a good A's offense. He did pitch well against St. Louis his last time out. He pitched well against Boston. He pitched well against Baltimore. His most recent time against Baltimore. So I'll see. I don't know what we'll do. What I'll do, I got to pick up somebody. I might pick up Austin Gomber because he plays Texas, but he has not had a good year. His recently has not been good. 21, -13, 29, -11, 3, -1. He struggled against the Chicago Cubs. So I don't know if I'll pick up a pitcher for fantasy. I might, but there's no one really good. I like to get players that play Pittsburgh, but there's nobody that's playing Pittsburgh's offense is off. Pittsburgh or Baltimore. But Baltimore, I believe, plays today, right? Baltimore, I think, plays against the Blue Jays, but I don't know who's starting for the Blue Jays. Whoever's starting for the Blue Jays, I would pick up them, but I think someone already has them for whoever's starting for the Blue Jays. It might be Hyun-Jin Ryu, which already someone has. The Blue Jays actually have a pretty good pitching staff, especially with the addition of Jose Barrios. Yeah, it's Hyun-Jin Ryu, so someone's already got him. Pitching in fantasy baseball is good to pick up when they face a really bad team. Pittsburgh Pirates, Baltimore Orioles. Even the Diamondbacks are weird because they put up runs, but they just don't win because their pitching's not good. They have Zach Gallion, and that's it. They got old Madison Bumgarner, and they've got a bunch of other unproven players on that rotation. But that will do it for the podcast. So today, 4 Eastern, will be the cuts for the NFL. We already heard the big surprising news with Cam Newton. By the way, there was a report that just came out a couple minutes ago that the Cowboys are looking into it on the Cam Newton. They're not gonna go. They're not saying that they're gonna go sign him, but they're looking into options to see. So we'll see how all that plays out. But either way, that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. As always, I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.